Tune in, gather round, let the tales resonate. From the Isle of Wight, rugged to the Bering Straits, Neil Vectis is here with insights to share. Diving deep into topics, we'll go everywhere. It's the Vectisfabber verdicts, come take a ride. With laughter and knowledge, Neil is your guide. From the Isle of Wight to the Bering Straits, join the conversation, it's never too late. It's never too late, never too late, never too late, never too late.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you are listening to me. Hello, Vectisizers, and you other listeners. Welcome back to the Vectisfabber Verdict. Today I am going to give you all a quick review of George Harrison's album, Living in the Material World. It's just been reissued with added bells and whistles. But you all know me by now. I don't buy stuff like that. So I dug out my old vinyl copy from 1973. That was a pointless exercise. I don't own a record player anymore. Well, never mind. My good friend from across the pond will review this for me. Let me welcome author of the JSD postulate and inventor of the Mumbo Stomp, the one and only JSD.
Hello, Neil. And hello to both your listeners too. Now, don't you worry, I won't be getting naked before I do this review.
Well, I might. There's nothing quite like doing a podcast without your clothes on.
Seriously now, I think I'd better do this review before you start discarding items of clothing. So, George Harrison, Living in the Material World. Here's my review song by song. Give me love, give me peace on earth, a superb universal message almost all can get behind. Well sung by George with a great musical backing. I loved this before I knew Mr. Harrison's songbook. A great song is a great song. Sue Me, Sue You Blues, very topical in 1973 and documents well a moment in time, with litigation which would carry on for decades. I like the slide guitar playing by George, and I do think there is some dark humor in this song. The Light That Has Lighted the World, the great showing by Nicky Hopkins on piano and George on vocals. There's a great slide guitar solo too. This is George's lament about how he was viewed as a superstar ex-Beatle and the focus by too many people on unimportant things. It took me about 15 years from first listen to appreciate and savor this song. Don't let me wait too long. What an infectious, positive song. This should have been the second single. But by then, maybe George was already tired of living in the material world. Who can see it? The opening notes of this song are beautiful, and the singing is as passionate as George Harrison gets. Another song that took me almost 15 years to appreciate and savor. Living in the Material World. A rocker, of sorts, and the nod to Indian music is cool. This and Dark Horse are his signature songs that tell us what we need to know about him. If only George had his voice when recording Dark Horse. I love the nod to John, Paul and Richie. That's Beatle John and Paul obviously, not a pope. The Lord loves the one that loves the Lord. This is up-tempo, which helps, as does the awesome slide guitar bits with another enthusiastic vocal performance. This was less preachy to me in late 2001 than it was in 1977 or 1978 when I first played this. Be Here Now. A song that went right over my head when first hearing it in 1977 or 1978 as a 17 or 18-year-old. Because it was on side 2 and I checked out on this album basically after track 1. I heard this song on a documentary about George right after his death. Perhaps on VH1 when that channel was still about music. The power of this song hit me right between the eyes that very moment and profoundly moved me. I pulled the Material World CD I had duly bought when it was issued, but had not been played. I discovered for the first time this amazing album in late 2001. A year when I was disappointed that there was to be no Space Odyssey. Try Some by Some. Recycled George. Better by George than if Ronnie Spector had took up the offer to record it. Not bad, and the 2024 mix really helps this one. The Day the World Gets Round. Yet another song I blew off as a 17 or 18-year-old but adore as an adult. George's vocal moves me. Powerful lyrics and vocal. That is all. An appropriate end and easily overlooked as it closes the album. In the year 2000, I would not have even recognized this song's title, let alone tell you what album it was off of. I came to respect it through the hard knocks of life and appreciation of more serious music. I genuinely am moved by this, even with George doing those falsetto bits. There is also an additional song I should mention. Miss Odell. A fun song. Can a song by George Harrison be fun or silly? Yes, it can, and this is. And that's my review of Living in the Material World by Mr. George Harrison.
Thank you, JSD. Thank you for such a concise and interesting review. Perhaps you could come on the show again sometime and tell us all about your adventure in Australia.
That's a long story, my friend. I am not sure the listeners would want to hear it.
Oh, believe me, they would. But that's all we have time for. Goodbye, everyone.
Where magic glistens and falling from Abbey Road to Sorrow, unfolding.
This is Vectisfabber Verdict, the Beatles podcast from the Isle of Wight.